Good afternoon, everyone. 5 o'clock straight up on the East Coast. It is a Monday edition of On Cue as we are coming at you live on this September 15th, 2025. Rich Quinones here. We got 60 plus to play with on a Manolo Lunes Mendioso Man Up Monday edition of On Cue. And look, there's going to be a lot of manning up on this Monday. And I will say this because I'm sleep deprived. I'm already cranky. I'm agitated. I'm aggravated. I'm annoyed. There better be some manning up from you goofballs as well after Thursday's and Friday's show and what transpired in the world of sports over the weekend. As always, don't forget, get social with me at Rich Q on X and IG. And of course, Rich Q, TikTok, on the mic, and subscribe to the YouTube channel because you guys are just fantastic when you do that. I don't even know where to begin. We have such drama going on in the world of sports. We have such drama going on in the NFL. We really do. Like, there's some things we learned about the NFL this weekend. There are a couple things we learned. Coaching is everything. Coaching is everything. A change of scenery is everything. A change of scenery is good. There's nothing wrong with a little change of scenery. You need a change of scenery in life. Sometimes you just need it. But we learn coaching is paramount. Patience is paramount. Time is paramount. And what did we see over this weekend? Once again, horrible coaching, skittish, sporadic quarterback play at best. And we also learned one thing big time. And that's where I want to start on this Monday. Because we'll get to what transpired between the Jets and the Giants and the Jets and Dallas and the Jets not even showing up against Buffalo. We'll get to Indiana Jones and the Colts, who, oh, by the way, on BYP Back Your Play, we had them outright on the money line against Denver. We will get into Canelo and Crawford because, again, if you tuned in on Friday, I pretty much laid it out. I called it. If you guys got coin and change in the pocket and you guys, your equilibrium is off and you're walking side like this, that's because I helped you put a coin in the pocket. But let it start on this Monday, September 15th, 2025. And the Kansas City Chiefs are done. They are cooked. The dynasty is over. It is over. I don't want to hear this. I do not want to hear this nonsense anymore about Kansas City. I don't want to hear this nonsense anymore about you never count out Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Travis Kelce and Kansas City. And look, the Philadelphia Eagles yesterday really didn't do anything exciting. They didn't. The Philadelphia Eagles didn't do anything that blew you away offensively. They didn't. Jalen Hurts, pedestrian. Absolutely pedestrian yesterday. But sometimes that's okay. You don't need the gaudy numbers and the stats all the time because that doesn't win you games. I.e., we'll get to the Giants and the Dallas Cowboys. Patrick Mahomes cannot do it by himself. He can't. He can't. And the Kansas City Chiefs, for the young fans that just decided to start gravitating towards the Chiefs when they were winning, this is kind of unfamiliar territory. 0-2 to start the season after a 20-17 loss in a Super Bowl rematch that, let's be honest, was a friggin' snooze fest. The biggest thing come out of yesterday was, let's get rid of the tush push again because the friggin' Philadelphia Eagles and their offensive line literally turns around and jumps every single time. They're cooked. They're done. The Kansas City Chiefs, at this moment, I might even go out on a limb and say they might not even make the friggin' playoffs. They might not even make the playoffs. I don't want to hear this nonsense anymore about the allure of playing an out. Listen, offensively, it's all Patrick Mahomes. And then you get Travis Kelce, who's barking for the football. The ball's put right in his mitts. and he can't even corral it. And then he's going off on like Mahomes because he's not getting his catches. Shut up. This dude's halfway out the door. His heart's not into it. He's engaged. He's a Swiftie. He's done. He's done. Mahomes again running around last night, running around in the afternoon, running around trying to make some plays. And as I said, the Philadelphia Eagles don't look like world beaters. Right now, they're not the best team in the NFL. Best team in the NFL resides in Green Bay. They are the best team right now. As it stands, only 2 weeks in the Green Bay Packers. But the Eagles are going to be there, ultimately. The Eagles are going to be there, and you guys can mark the tape. You can bookend it. You can mark it. You can voice track it. You can lay over it. You can screenshot it. You can snip it, whatever you want. The Chiefs dynasty is done. They're done. They're done. They have problems. And then you get players coming out and they're trying to support Rice. I mean, what the hell is that nonsense? Now, Andy Reid, take control of these guys. Travis Kelce with his explosions. Mahomes taking some bad sacks, running for his life. And Eagles fans, don't get too giddy today because your secondary is suspect. You didn't do anything offensively that wowed me, but you got the win. You got the win. But the Kansas City Chiefs, they are again. They're not the team that used to be this juggernaut. Look at the personalities. They're starting to implode. They're starting to implode. All this nonsense. Everyone talking about, Kelce. You knew going in, their offense was going to be predicated around Kelce in the seam route. You knew it. But this guy he's so bent out of shape, so demonstrative. Remember a couple years ago showing up Andy Reid? That ball's right in your hands. Make the friggin' catch. If you're an all-pro Hall of Fame tight end, then guess what? You come up with the friggin' football. Period. I'm over him. I'm over the nonsense. I'm over the Kelces. I'm over all of it. And people want to cry and complain about the calls and the no call and the tush push. I get it. It's annoying. The Eagles are always offsides, constantly offsides. We all know that. But Chiefs fans, you're the last ones to complain about no calls. Hell, you won a Super Bowl on a questionable call. Right? Look, it's a week-to-week proposition in the NFL, is it not? And we're seeing right now, Washington has some issues with Jaden Daniels, and he's banged up. Cincinnati just lost Joe Burrow. I mean, they're going to waste another season. 49ers, they're 2-0. I said they were going to win 10 games. Hello, they're 2-0, but they're dealing with injuries, but they got an ugly win. The Eagles are 2-0. They don't look like world beaters. Green Bay looks pretty good. Last weekend, everyone was writing off the Detroit Lions, and what did they do? They put up 52 points yesterday. The Rams quietly, defensively, 2-0. The Bills, 2-0. All I heard was an emotional letdown. I'm like, take the Bills and the points, please. They're going to smoke the Jets. They were up 30-3. They won 30-10. Cleveland might get Baltimore. No, they weren't. I mean, you guys know the sport. Do we watch the same freaking game? Last night was a horrible contest. And J.J. McCarthy got banged up. He didn't play well. And this is where coaching comes into play in the NFL. You have to coach these guys up. The quarterback is playing the league. Oh, my God. What's going on? Like, what is going on with some of the quarterbacking play? You take Daniel Jones out of New York. You take him out of New York. Little cup of coffee with Minnesota. And now he's in Indianapolis. And the Colts got a gift yesterday, but they still won the game. Listen, they made plays. But you stick Daniel Jones in Indianapolis, and he looks reborn. He looks revitalized. Maybe that's the fit for him. Change the scenery. I don't know if this is going to be sustainable or last, but tell me this. Doesn't it have something to do with friggin' coaching in the NFL? Look what's going on around the league. Caleb Williams looks lost. Bryce Young looks lost again. What's going on? It's like utter madness. It's like utter madness. It really is. And it's like, you got to be kidding me. All I heard all week even when we did BYP with Lloyd, these games might be emotional letdown. This is not college. And this is not about Lloyd, my guy, my friend. I'm just saying the narrative that was being pushed this week with some of these teams, the Jets are going to be. Look, Justin Fields stunk it up yesterday. He stunk it up. Jacksonville stunk it up. You got issues with Trevor Lawrence. You got issues with Hunter. You got issues with their wide receiver. Like, we're 2 weeks into the NFL season, and this is where we're at. Like, this is where we're at. 2 weeks into the NFL season, and it's absolute, like, drama, chaos, nonsense. The Chiefs dynasty, that run, it's over. It is done. It is done. This team doesn't have the guts. They don't have the guile. They don't have the dog in them like they did in years past. They just don't. And again, the Eagles didn't do anything that made you, sit there and say, wow. But they won the game. And they made the plays when they had to make the plays, and they got the stops when they had to make the stops. And that's what Super Bowl teams do. That's what defending Super Bowl champs do. That's what really good teams in the NFL do. Now, are they a little suspect in the secondary? Yeah. They are. Was the offense yesterday? Yeah, I would say so. But you're 2-0. And a game that everyone hyped up, a rematch in the Super Bowl, it was a snooze fest. It really was. Because you knew late, once they got the ball back, it was tushy, pushy time, period. Jalen Hurts didn't play particularly well. He didn't. But some games you don't have to. You don't always have to have your A game. You have to have other guys lift you up. But 2 weeks in, Burrow hurt. Jaden Daniels hurt. Fields hurt. Aaron Rodgers calling out wide receivers. What else is new? Daniel Jones looking like the comeback player of the year, looking like MVP. And then we go to what transpired yesterday between the Dallas Cowboys and my New York Football Giants, and just another reason why I cannot take this franchise. I can't root for this franchise anymore because it sucks the life out of me. In a game that I didn't think you were going to win. I actually thought the Giants were going to get smoked. In a game where Russell Wilson, for as brilliant as he played, makes 2 boneheaded plays in overtime that ultimately cost the game. In a game in which both teams score over 35 points, 40-37, Dallas wins it off the long kick, not only to tie it in the regulation, but forcing it overtime by arguably the best kicker in the league right now. I mean, 64-0 is a 64-yard is nothing for this kid. Where you combined for 41 points in the fourth quarter. These aren't my father's Giants. New York has an opportunity to win the game. To win the game. Can you make a stop late? Can you just make a stop late? And they couldn't even do it. What the hell kind of defensive scheme are you running where you're basically sitting back late in the game knowing that the Dallas Cowboys have a kicker that has a leg from God? Seriously. I mean, what is the thinking that Aubrey can nail it from 75 yards? I knew once they were lining up, that kick was going to be good. And then you take the ball in overtime. You want those downs in possession. That game was, in a microcosm, what the Giants have been over the last decade plus. It really is. Yeah, you're going back. That first drive, you're moving the football. And you basically, every time you turn around, there's a holding penalty. There's a false start penalty. I mean, that kid had 4 flags on the first drive. That hasn't happened in like 50 years. Like, get him off the field if you're Brian Daboll. Get him off the field. And then still hanging in a game that you have no business winning at 13-3. Then you come back, or Dallas scores and makes it 13-10. You punt. And I'm telling you where the game changed. I'm telling you exactly where the game changed. The Giants get a pick, a rare turnover early in that third quarter, and then they friggin' turn the ball over on downs. And the fourth down play, I mean, just come on, man. Stop trying to give it to Scattaboo. The play calling was just horrendous. Horrendous. You take the points there knowing your offense always seems to struggle. Now, did they wake up late in the game? Yeah, because Dallas's defense is not that good. Dallas's defense is not that good. That's a 16-10 game. Even if they take the lead 17-16, you still feel pretty good. And like I said, credit to Russell Wilson. I'm man up. Russell Wilson, the moon ball, hey, that's great. You know, he was slinging it. Neighbors, Robinson, Johnson, getting everyone in a mix. Russell Wilson, for a full game, played like a Hall of Fame quarterback. And then you go into overtime and he inexplicably throws it behind the line of scrimmage. And then he throws just a horrible interception. So I'm sorry. For a guy that throws for 440 something, 450 yards and throws for 3 touchdowns, that one pick cost him the game. And I got to hear some of these jackass Giant fans today. I mean, are you kidding me? You're sitting there. You know what? Joe Burrow goes down with a toe injury. You know what I would do if I'm the Giants? And you guys want to call me a clown? You want to troll me? You want to call me a jackass? Go ahead. I literally pick up the phone and say, you want Russell Wilson? You want Russell Wilson? Here you go. Take Russell Wilson. Make Jameis a starter or go right to Dart. And then you got Dart in the game yesterday. You've got Jackson Dart coming in on the road in a big spot in a house of horrors. And the quarterback is actually cooking. He's not marinating. He's not sizzling. He's not boiling. Russ is cooking. Russ Wilson is doing what he does like 15 years ago, 10 years ago, just slinging it. Boom, 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 boom. And you're running gimmick plays. The penalties were atrocious. The defensive scheme and alignment, atrocious. The play calling at times, atrocious. Russell Wilson, brilliant for a game, and then throws a God, what are you friggin' thinking pick. Atrocious. The defensive coordinator has to go. The head coach needs to go. It's embarrassing. There's no moral victories. I don't want to hear it today. I don't want to hear this nonsense. Oh my God, you're an idiot. You're going to trade a guy who just threw for 450 yards. Yeah, because the better he plays, the longer Jackson Dart's got to sit. And then Brian Daboll is going to friggin' ruin Jackson Dart like he ruined Daniel Jones. I don't want to hear this anymore. I don't want to hear this anymore at all. No, and I'm sorry. Some of you fans, I love you. I really do, and I appreciate your fanism, but you guys are jackasses. You're the way you think, it's not realistic. It's just goofy talk. You guys would rather lose and Russell Wilson put up 480 yards than win the game and Russell Wilson be 18 of 35 for $186. That's how some of you think, because you're all driven by stats and fantasy football. I don't need a 4th down pass play going to a rookie Scattaboo. You got Singletary. You got Tracy out of the backfield. I mean, that's what we learned this weekend in the NFL. Coaching stinks. The quarterbacking play at times is abysmal. And look, you already have some dead men walking. McDaniel, he's done. He's done. He is done in Miami. And if you're Ben Johnson, what are you thinking? Ben Johnson basically taking these pot shots at the Lions. And what does Dan Campbell do? Dan Campbell promptly roast his fanny for 52 points. Last week, the Lions stink. Goff can't play. Campbell's on the hot seat. And here we go. What's wrong with their offense? And they put up 2 points. They embarrassed the Bears. They absolutely embarrassed the Bears. Ah, my goodness. That's life in the NFL. So I'm going to man up on a couple things. I'm going to man up on saying Russ was cooked for 1 week. I'm going to man up and I'm going to sit there and tell you that I didn't see this coming from Daniel Jones. That's number 2. What else? What else do I have to? I mean, you guys will let me know. What else did I say last week that was outlandish? I mean, you guys are probably running out of paper scribbling this down. But I will stand by this. I will stand by this. You've got a game on the road where your head coach is 4-14-1, and your quarterback turns back the clock, and you elect to run gimmick plays with your rookie quarterback. You don't take the points when you should have taken the points. And then you have a veteran who's a Hall of Fame quarterback make 2 inexplicable plays. You know, Russell Wilson played outstanding until he threw it behind the line of scrimmage, and then he turned around and boom, he throws the pick. You can't do that. And the defensive, I mean, I would rather go man on man, and if I get beat, I get beat. And that's one of the issues. You know, Olsen kept bringing it up during the broadcast with, you know, the kicker. You know, I still don't understand the kickoff rule, to be quite honest with you. I don't. But the fact is, you know, you've got a kicker for Dallas that has a leg like a thunderbolt, a thunder god. He's leg. He's the definition of leg. And you know for a fact, all you need, I mean, you're talking about kicking it on the other side. On the other side of the 50, on their side. And you're giving up 10 yards, a cushion? You can't. You can't do that. You can't. Off coverage, every drive in the fourth quarter and overtime, that is just absolute. That defensive coordinator, I would have fired as Heine today. I would have. I would have. And again, there's no moral victories in the NFL. There isn't. There's no. You want to hang your hat on positives, whatever your team is or whoever your team is, have at it, man. Have at it. But that's not the world we live in. It's not. That's not the world we live in, especially in the world of sports. You are measured by wins and losses. You know, moral victories, that's for friggin' T-ball dads. That's for Pop Warner dads. You know, the participation trophy. I don't play that game. I don't. I mean, that falls on the head coach, the lack of discipline, the penalties. I saw it yesterday across the NFL. Saw it last night. Jacksonville head coach. Yeah, some of these bad calls. I get it. Andy Reid, bonehead call. Bonehead plays. Andy Reid, you know, as much as we sit there and we love Andy Reid, we talk about Andy Reid, everyone always talks about Andy Reid. This is a 10-10 game, okay? Now you tell me, you know your offense is struggling. This is a third quarter right now. And you're sitting there, and what are we doing? You know, we're going for it. Our end. I mean, it was like panic. It was like panic. You get that touchdown late, everyone knew you weren't going to stop the Eagles. It was Saquon time. It's Jalen Hurts times. It's what they do best. It just sometimes I really don't. I just don't get it. You got a 4th and 1 from your 36. What are you doing? What are you doing? And then the Eagles come right back and they score. They kick a field goal, and then you punt. Now the Eagles punt it, and then eventually you got the ball back, but then they throw a pick, and that's the ball that Kelsey has to catch. All right, let me get to these comments. Oh, and by the way, because it's a Mentiroso Lunes Manolo Man Up Monday, did I not call Crawford and Canelo? I basically laid it out for you on the show. But hey, We want to make sure I man up for what I have to man up on. Ha! Guy's got a lot of stones. We'll revisit this show in January when they're playing in the AFC title game. De facto, get the Sharpie and mark the tape. Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl now. Your history of cooking teams too early is epic. That's not 100% fair, to be quite honest, but they are cooked. How are your Commanders doing, Q? Is Daniels going to play Sunday? He's out. He might be out for a couple weeks. That's not good. You guys still think you still trolling me? We may look back at this and laugh when Green Bay falters. Green Bay, I think right now is the best team in the NFL. But again, it's only 2 weeks. It's only 2 weeks. So either we're going to do the Monday overreaction, we're going to underreact, right? Kevin C. in North Jersey. Q, I don't even know what to say. There's nothing to say, Kevin. There's nothing to say. You guys were the same guys that were telling me the Giants were going to win 6, 7, 8 games. How about that vaunted defense? Can you make a stop? There's nothing to say, Kevin. You got absolutely nothing to say. There's no point. You should be without words on this day. You should. It's a bad team. It's a bad franchise. It really is. The head coach stinks. He can't coach. He can't. He's not a good head coach. Kelsey is such a tool. Yeah, I'm over Kelsey too. Who the heck said emotional letdown for the Bills? Everyone. All the talking heads nationally were talking about it. All over the place. On XM, on the mothership. They said it a lot. On Russo's channel, I was listening the other day. They're like, that's a big win coming off the Ravens. You might get an emotional letdown. The Jets are going to, guys from Veasan talking about the Jets going to cover this game. May have been the easiest pick of the week. How about my Colts? Money line against my other team, Denver. Death Star Mike is fine. Heat 12, man. Oh, Vince going a little troll action. What do we got here? Sup, peeps? Vince in the building. Representing for the phantom PI calls my guy had yesterday. Bonehead coaching decisions and drop passes lost us the game. But Sunshine is looking good, ain't he? Wait, whoa. What was the dust up between Combe and Sunshine and Trevor Lawrence yesterday? What was that all about, right? Man, I was thinking the same thing. Is Vince pulling a burner? See, if you go Heat 12, man, you should have went out with He Hate Me. Watch your mouth, Q. We did not stink. Watched every minute, and they played well. Young team that's going to learn how to win. Give us some props. It was a good game. Vince. You going the moral victory route? Is that where we're going? You going the moral victory? You can't go back to your Steelers because see Aaron Rodgers, see how bad they stink. But this is what we're doing now, Vince? We're going moral victories? This is what it's come down to? I mean, you had a bad weekend. You lose against Cincinnati. That loses their quarterback. And then you turn around. You want to talk about your Colorado squad? We going to talk about that? You want to talk a little prime with me? Maybe a little overrated with the Buffs, perhaps? Would Jacksonville give up 31 yesterday? Right? Jake Browning, come on, from State Farm, coming in and slinging it, Vince? Get out of here with that nonsense. Get out of here. Just get out of here with that nonsense. Do we have a reasoning for man, how to get low with all the craziness going on in the world. Can't give out my government and continue. Can't give out my gov and continue to troll because I'm going to. Venture, all right. We would never do that. Listen, we don't do that. We don't throw our guys to the wolves. We don't. Ego's always protecting the ball over defense, creating some turnovers. Stop. You're another delusional friggin' Eagles fan. Really? They looked like world beaters yesterday, de facto? Really? Who the hell was that lineman yelling at? By the way, Q, he was snapping out of the sideline like it was in right. Yeah. That was so the Giants yesterday. I mean, you talk about these penalties. Really bad. And that's the problem when you don't have, that was James Hudson, 4 penalties on one drive, and they still move the ball. And it shows the lack of maturity by the Giants. It really does. Because after the second one, I would have pulled his fanny. The fact that he had that outburst, and I get it, no Andrew Thomas, you got to deal with it. That was a crushing opening possession for the Giants. But I would cut him today. I would cut him. I really would. Dude, you got 4 friggin' penalties, and I'm pulling you from the game, and you're going to snap on the sideline? Get the hell out of here, man. Oh, and by the way, you basically throw a right hook. You clock a Cowboys player in the helmet. I mean, no, I'm sorry. Nope. You're off my team. You're off my team. You're off my team. You know, you clocked a kid. Okay, dumb. You get a penalty, dumber. You get 2 penalties, I got to pull you. I don't. You get 4, and then you act like a friggin' prima donna, like a child throwing a tantrum. I mean, seriously. Like a child. Like a child throwing a friggin' temper tantrum. Because I'm not going to give you 50 cents to ride the little horsey outside of friggin' Walmart when you're a kid. Or we're not going to have ice cream after practice. I'm sorry. You cut him. There's absolutely no. You want to change the culture? You're trying to change the culture? That team was so undisciplined, and that falls on the head coach. That falls on the head coach. Now, is it the head coach's job to go out there and make plays? No, the players make plays. But you're flipping out like a child. Like a petulant child on the sidelines. You're a grown man. A grown man. You just got 4 friggin' penalties on one opening drive, and you get pulled, and you get benched, and you're acting like that. We haven't seen that in 25 years that a player had committed 4 offensive penalties on a drive. Like, if I'm the Giants, I don't even let him get on the plane. He was flagged for unnecessary roughness. You do it once in a game. This dude did it twice in a drive. Twice in the same drive. And then 2 false start penalties. And then he's got the balls and the gumption to have a meltdown on the sideline after he's pulled like he didn't do anything wrong. Well, what are we doing? What are we doing? Cut him. Cut him. Just cut him. Don't call your fellow G-men and women jackasses. That poor customer service giving you banned room on Spotify right now after they heard that. No one's giving me a review, period. So don't worry about it. Key, what an effort from your boys. 64-yard field goal was crazy, but I was pulling for you. It was an embarrassing loss again. It's typical Giants. Scott, it's typical Giants. It's typical Giants. It's like the football gods have decided, this is what they've done. The football gods have decided that I'm obviously I'm being punished. I've wronged someone. I've done something, because over the last 10 plus years, it's not even a watchable product. It's not even a watchable product. They're embarrassing. Even when you have a game pretty much won, and watching the game knowing that Dallas had that leg, kind of sitting to myself, going back, rewatched it today. I'm like, Dallas is going to tie this up and win in overtime, because that's what the Giants do. I'm sorry. The defensive alignment late was horrible, and it's bad football, man. Too early to solidify anything. I'm telling you, we're going to look back in week 2, Manolo Monday, and laugh. I'm telling you right now, why do you guys think the Chiefs aren't cooked? And why do you think Green Bay? So we don't want to give credit to Green Bay. This is what we're saying. They had two really nice wins to open up the season, did they not? I'll man up, say my Buffs got whooped on Friday night. Maybe Coach Prime was defensive about his QB decision after the game. That's a bad loss. You're going to man up and admit your Commanders arrived too early. That's a bad loss by Washington. Now the quarterback's hurt. It happens, man. Right? McCarthy let me down, but I saw some decent things out of Ward. Yeah, Ward made that one throw running across the body. That was just like a ridiculous throw. That's why they got him. That's why they drafted him. Full disclosure, I was beyond exhausted, half asleep last night, trying to I had to get up ridiculously early to try to watch that game. They did not look good. Atlanta didn't look any better. But the one thing I didn't understand is you get that ball all the way down to the goal line if you're Minnesota. Why not keep running the football? And they elected not to. Now, McCarthy, he regressed a little bit. But again, he's a young quarterback. That's going to happen. That's going to happen. Look, Green Bay opens up week 2. That's an impressive victory. Their defense is legit. Okay? Cincinnati gets the win against Jacksonville. No Joe Burrow. And I'm serious. Trade for Kirk Cousins. Trade for Russell Wilson. You need a quarterback. I don't think they have enough offensive firepower without Burrow, to just hang in there over 3 months. And defensively, they gave up 27 to the Jags. And yeah, Lawrence, he slung at 40-something. He played well. But they also, bad calls against them late, the PIs, that happens in the NFL. But again, they had some drives that they, if you are a Jacksonville fan, you got to start wondering a couple things. Why are you only targeting how many targets? Now, Brian Thomas had 12 targets. He only had 4 balls caught, right? Vince, explain that to me. They ran the ball well. And the offensive line did a good job. Lawrence was only sacked once. But Cincinnati gets a win. We mentioned Dallas, not a very good team. I thought offensively they did some nice things. The Bears are 0-2. They're done. The Bears are done. They're a bad football team. We know the Titans are going to struggle with Ward. And you only stick the kid out there to see what you have. The Rams are 2-0. They're looking pretty good. Listen, I called Miami. I'll man up right now. I thought Miami was actually going to show up. And I will man up. I will double man up. And this is for Madman. I will double man up on this Man Up Monday. I have no idea what is going on with Tua. He stinks. Like, he stinks. I have no idea. I mean, did he just regress to the point of he's just bad? I mean, his decision-making is horrible. And I'm wondering, you saw Hill yesterday get very adamant, because he only got 7 targets. He went over 100 yards, but, one of them was 47 yards. Tua missed him on a couple plays. I mean, they can't run the football for a lick. Now, you want to credit New England's defense. They only had 62 yards rushing, and it's not like Drake May, looked like a world beater. But that team, you talk about some of these other teams with their head coach and their quarterback. Miami's 0-2, not good. 49ers, 10 wins. Thank you very much. 2-0. They got it done. Mac Jones played well. Good for Mac Jones. Played really well. Very efficient. Had a nice game. Had a really nice game for the 49ers. He really did. Hung in the pocket. Took a couple hits. Threw for close to 300. 3 touchdowns. More importantly, no picks. So they got to win 26-21 over New Orleans. 49ers, listen, you come out of the gate quickly like that. You get some games under your belt. You get some wins. Pretty good. You mentioned the Bills, 2-0. And the Steelers. You got Aaron Rodgers already. Aaron Rodgers, at this moment already, is starting to blame wide receivers. We're in week 2. Now, I know you can't go and cut every player every time they make a mistake. I understand that. But you're a professional football player. How in the world do you know to not, that ball's not alive? I don't know if you saw the play with the kick returner. Kayla Johnson, when he turned his back on the live football and basically just kept right on running. I mean, you're an NFL player, man. Like, how do you not know? I'm sorry. If I'm Mike Tomlin, I cut the kid. I know. You're an NFL player. You have to know that's a live football. That changed the whole complexion of the game. Seattle has a 3-point lead, 54-yarder from Myers. The ball, the kickoff bounces in front of him. Now, he's a rookie running back right now, right? And I get it. Moonlighting as that kick returner. I understand that. Ball hops over him. He doesn't even go after it. I mean, you can't have that. You cannot afford to have that in the NFL. That changed the whole complexion of the game. They never recovered after that. Never. Mention the Lions all over the Bears. Browns, no match. You knew the Ravens were going to come out and smoke them. I thought the game of the day, besides Dallas and the Giants, Arizona and Carolina was entertaining. The Colts and Denver. I mean, how about waking up today if you're a Denver fan? How about waking up today if you're a Denver fan? You got an opportunity to be 2-0. You got an opportunity to be 2-0. That game is right there if you are a Denver Broncos fan. And then you get called for, let's be honest, a play or a penalty that we rarely see called in the NFL. Is it called? Yes. Yes. We definitely see leverage called in the NFL. But are you going to call it? I mean, that in that moment, with 3 seconds to go, a potential game-winning field goal attempt, and you're going to give them 15 yards. 15 yards. That was a brutal, brutal, brutal call. Well, boxing fans knew Crawford would win. Yeah, but that was a dominating performance, right? That was a dominating performance. I don't think a lot of people saw that. Well, if you listened Friday, you did. You might need to go see the same doc as Daniels if you and yourself patting yourself on the back for the Canelo fight. Well, hold on a second. You guys point out every time I get something wrong. And what about the Colts on the money line on Friday's edition of Back Your Play? Thank you very much. I call that. All I'm saying is I told you that Canelo was older. I told you that Canelo, the footwork wasn't there. Right? I told you that Canelo was going to get in and get out, not throw any type of combinations. And that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what we saw. Oh, don't worry. I'm going to talk more about the fight this week. Don't get it twisted. I know the Jags must feel sick. So, yeah, that's a tough loss. I can't believe the Colts, man. Who impressed you this weekend? Oh, well, thank you for directing that to me. Oh, anyway. Q was never impressed. He apologized to Russ and then ripped him right after. I was impressed this weekend. I thought Indianapolis, that's an impressive win, even though you got the benefit of that call. I think Daniel Jones looks good. I'm going to give a little credit to Atlanta. Even though you go on the road, I thought it was just an ugly game last night. I'll give them credit. I gave the Eagles credit. They didn't really do anything offensively, but they got the win. The Rams are a good team. The Packers are a good team. I'm going to give them credit. I mean, I give credit, but all I'm saying is you have to be fair and realistic. I can say you played a great game, but now we're talking about some of the decision-making overtime, and that cost the Giants. That was one of the reasons the Giants lost. Like for all the great that Russell Wilson did, he also had 2 boneheaded plays. There's no way around that. There's no way around that. You have no business throwing that ball up for grabs like that. You just don't. I watched that play 20 times. He just threw it up for grabs. You have no business, a 10, 15-year quarterback, a Hall of Fame quarterback, a Super Bowl winning quarterback, just blindly throwing it up like that. And by the way, Let's not, again, get it twisted. The moon balls, I mean, that's what we're going to base our offense on? Just Russell Wilson throwing it up? I don't want that. The worst thing to happen for the Giants yesterday was Russell Wilson go for 450 because all that does is prolong the inevitable. Jackson Dart's not going to get in anytime soon as long as he keeps putting up these numbers. And if they're competitive, Dable's never going to go to Jackson Dart. So I'm sorry. Like, I'm not 6 years old. I'm not 10 years old. I'm not 12 years old. I'm not saying, oh my goodness, they almost won the game. That means nothing to me. I don't care about that. We're well past that. I need to see what this kid has going forward. And I certainly need to see what this kid has with this coach. Because the last thing I want is Brian Daboll to get a fresh start and Jackson Dart be the starter day one next season. Because look at Brian Daboll's track record. Forget about Josh Allen. He's going on his way to Hall of Fame. He ruined Daniel Jones. And look what Daniel Jones is doing in Indianapolis. He's not even Nichols anymore. What are they calling him? Indiana Jones? Guy can go and find the lost covenant, the lost ark. I mean, he's all over the place making plays. Didn't you say the ones were easier to coach because they aren't as childish as college players? This kid was a child. He was a child. I did say that, but this kid acted like an immature punk on the sidelines. I would cut him today. I would. Man, I'll tell you, you guys, I mean, it's 5:44, and you guys have been relentless on me today. Q is understanding 40 years of being a Browns right now. When you start talking to the football gods, you have officially become a Browns fan. No, you know what it is? I'm going to tell you exactly what it is. This is, now, it gets very frustrating to sit there and to watch a game. And in the back of your mind, no matter what the team does, you're going to lose the game. Now, whether that's a pessimist, whether that's negative, whether that's a piss poor attitude, or whether that's just being realistic, nowhere on God's green earth did I believe the Giants would win that game after they got that late touchdown. And then you see the defensive scheme and alignment. That's the sports gods are punishing me. Like, what did I do to deserve this? You are punishing me as a Giant fan. It's horrible football. You can turn the TV off, flip it on 5 minutes later, and you already know the outcome. You knew they were going to lose that game. You knew that kick was going in. You knew they were going in overtime and they would do something to foul it up. And then you knew the kick was going to go in again. It's absolutely, it's so disheartening. It is. And you guys are piling up on me today on a Monday. You decided, why not? God rest Gene Hackman's soul. Gene Hackman, an all-time great actor. But it reminds me of the scene in Unforgiven when Clint Eastwood is avenging Morgan Freeman's death, right? His buddy Ned. They beat him up and then they put him out there and they showcased him around the bar, right? And then Clint Eastwood goes in there and he starts firing off because that's what Clint Eastwood does. The man with no name. That's what he does. Dirty Harry. He's all over the place, right? And then he fires off that shot. He wounds Gene Hackman, pretty much mortally wound him. And Gene Hackman is looking up and he's like, I don't deserve this. I was building a house. And Clint Eastwood, deadpan, as only Clint Eastwood could do, stares him right in the eyes and says, deserves ain't got nothing to do with this. I feel like Gene Hackman. Better yet, I feel like poor James Caan going through the toll booth in Godfather. I mean, you guys are just firing off bullets at me today. Just firing off bullets. You're pointing every little thing that I got wrong over the years, and you're just throwing it on a Monday edition of On Cue. I haven't even taken a break yet, so you guys can get your shots in. Sonny at the toll booth. Horrible. Look how they massacred my boy. All right. You don't think Green Bay is a little overrated for beating your Commanders with one offensive weapon and average defense? No, I don't. I think I think those are two nice wins. I really do. I really do. I don't know what quarterback we talking about. Oh, Tua. Yeah, I don't know. Took a lot of hits. Scott, don't blame the God for Cleveland. That's messed up. He wouldn't do that to anyone. Hey, no, let me tell you something. The sports gods have a very sick sense of humor, Vince. They do. They do. The sports gods, you do not mess with the sports gods. And I don't know, somewhere along, maybe it was all those years I told Eagles fans, you know what? Be quiet until you win a Super Bowl. I don't know. Maybe it was all the heckling, the trolling. I don't know. Maybe it was calling the Phillies the sillies or the Sixers, tank this. Maybe I'm getting, maybe I'm paying for the sins of Bobby Nystrom. Every Flyer fan said he was offsides back in the day. In 88, he went against the Island. I don't know. I have no idea what it is. You want to call it you want to call it karma? I don't know. But it's bad. It's bad. It's like you wake up and you want to invest your time in watching your team, and no matter what, at the end, they're going to lose. No, they're probably not. They're who knows? See, I mean, I'm not even going to address that. It's not a Wednesday. I'm going to let it go. I'm going to just, yeah, seriously. Remember? Marlon Brando turns around and he goes, he goes, make the call. And he goes, the Godfather is requesting your services. And he's like, I want you to do everything you have in your power. Use all your skills. I don't want his mother to see him like this. And then he pulls the drape over James Conn and he goes, look what they done to my boy. They massacred him. That's what I felt like. I felt like Gene Hackman and James Conn in one afternoon, and it's bad. Sarge chimes in Q. I am absolutely rolling. I have tears coming down my eyes. Excellent Brando impersonation, but you're right. The Giants are just laughable. How do you pull that defense late? I don't know. Tom C. in Summers Point wants to know who had the most impressive win over the weekend, Q. Man, I'll tell you. Green Bay is a really good team. I didn't realize how young Green Bay was, and their defense is really good. Quietly, I don't know what you guys think of the Rams. I know they beat up on the Titans. They've had, think about it. The Rams open up the season against the Texans. They hold them to 9. They hold the Titans and a rookie quarterback to 19. Now, if the Rams go out on the road and beat the Eagles, you got to sit there and say they're legit, do you not? The Rams gave the Eagles their toughest test last year in the playoffs. Salim, Q, you better check these Washington haters. I don't know what to tell you, Salim. I know you're a Washington fan. I'm still high on Washington. I am. I hope that Jaden Daniels is not out too long. I know McCarthy is going to be out 2 to 4 weeks. I mean, that's brutal. That's brutal. You want to talk about the football gods? How about being a Minnesota fan, being a Vikings fan? How about this matchup? Are you ready for this? Carson Wentz. Remember Carson Wentz? Carson Wentz under center against, wait for it. This is the sexiest matchup of the weekend. You got Ginger Jesus Carson Wentz taking on Jake Browning from State Farm. How about that matchup? We even have a line for that game yet? I know it's Monday. Can we look ahead? Week 3? Week 3. Let me see. Future. What do we got here? Wow, Minnesota's laying 2.5. T and Clearwater chimes in. Q, the Dolphins are officially done. I'm ready to move on from Tua, but that contract's an albatross. That is a horrible contract. It really is. That's a horrible contract. And again, I missed a boat on that. Right? I thought Miami should have went out and gave Tua the money in which they did, and now you basically have buyer's remorse. You really do. Ryan chimes in. Q, will you relax with my Kansas City squad? They're not done yet. They're done. The Chiefs are done. What makes you guys think that the Chiefs are going to turn around? Why? Because they're Kansas City. We've seen it in the past. It's not the same team. Now, do I feel bad for my Giants even more so? Sunday night, Kansas City's 0-2. Patrick Mahomes, go back to that Super Bowl, has never lost 3 straight games until yesterday. You really think Kansas City is going to go on the road and lose to the Giants? They're probably going to be a 6.5, 7.5 point favorite. I mean, that's a bad spot for the Giants. Sunday Night Football? Oh, my God. That's a bad spot. The line is find another game to watch. No. No, listen, you watch the games because you're a fan. Doesn't mean you have to, enjoy it, or you're not allowed to rail against them. And to be honest, you don't even have to watch the game. I mean, I love football. I do. I love football. But you just want your team to be a little competitive. That's all. Just a little competitive. You're not, you're not asking for much, right? Joe D chimes in. Q, thank you for not coming on the air and crying about the tush push, because I don't care anymore. I don't care. The Eagles jump all the time offside, but it doesn't matter. That rule is still in place. I don't care anymore. Like, stop them if that's the problem. Or if you have an opportunity to do it yourselves, figure it out. Like, what did the mothership say today? The game was lost in March. This game was lost when the NFL owners refused to ban the tush push from happening. It wasn't lost yesterday. I guess Adam Schefter said that. Just stop. How many times did they bring it up yesterday? How many times? Because I had the game on mute when I rewatched it today. How many times was it brought up yesterday? The tush push during that game. Seriously. How many? How many times was it brought up? Like, if teams can't stop it, then they can't stop it. But you can't sit there and cry about it, especially if you're Kansas City. Kansas City got bailed out late in that first Super Bowl against the Philadelphia Eagles. Bradbury had to, the I guess you can say the class to sit there and say that was a penalty, that was a flag. But let's be honest, that flag was thrown because it was Kansas City Chiefs. I don't want to hear about the Kansas City Chiefs crying anymore about nonsense. I don't. Hold on a second. I am a fan. I just choose not to watch the nonsense and ruin my Sundays. And now because I have basketball at friggin' 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning in different countries, I'm tired, madman. I'm tired. So when it's 78 and 80 last year, yeah, I want to get some fishing in. I have the radio with me, but I didn't want to watch the games. So no, you're not, don't get it twisted. It's like being a 49ers fan and go sitting there in the poker room of Borgata on a Sunday. With Ernie. So I don't want to hear this nonsense anymore. I don't want to hear it. Over 40-something odd years, Giant fan. 78, 82, if I want to enjoy a day fishing at the beach and on the radio, I'm going to enjoy it. Life is too short, as we learned. Life is too short. I don't need this aggravation anymore. I just don't. I don't. I really don't. Seth chimes in. Q, do you think it's a phantom injury? You talking about, well, he's a Vikings fan. You talking about J.J. McCarthy? If the kid's hurt, he's hurt. Right? He didn't play well. He just didn't play well. Jay chimes in, Q, that's a good point on Travis Kelce. He was the whole offense with Mahomes. He's got way too much right now on his shoulders. He does. And that's why they're not going to win many football games. They're not. They're not. They're not. Catch and release, or you catch, Q. Catch and release. I have the game on. You guys are pieces of work. The Raiders get the W tonight. How much does that change your view on the AFC West? I still think Denver's winning the West. Okay, that's number one. The Chargers are still going to be a playoff team. Kansas City will be a playoff team. They will get to 10 wins, but they might get bounced in the first. And if the Raiders win tonight, then the Raiders make it a little interesting. I don't think the Raiders are a great team. I don't think they're a good team. I don't think they're a bad team. I think they're somewhere in between. Like, if they win tonight, that's a nice win against the Chargers. Now, albeit if they did it on the road, that's something different, but they're at home. I don't know if that tight end's playing tonight. He might be out. I don't know. I haven't checked. I know you guys are pretty fast with that kind of stuff. I didn't see too much movement on the line. But I will say this, Geno Smith, this could be the spot for him. I think he played well in Seattle. I really do. He resurrected his career over the last several years, but this seems to be kind of the spot for him. And why? Because you got the right coach in place. I still believe the Raiders will be on the outside looking in. I really do. I think the Raiders will be on the outside looking in. But it'd be something, if the Raiders can win this game tonight, they take on Washington that might not have Daniels, and then they play a really bad Bears team. They might be 4-0, getting ready to take on Indianapolis. My man Chino. What's up, Chino? What's the plaque to your right? It says Millville News on it. That was back in the day. Millville News did a feature on me when I was doing radio on WSNJ. And then Quinn Broadcasting TV2, because I did all the football games for years. So they did a spotlight on me many, many moons ago. That was, and I don't want to date myself. I think that was 2003 or 4. And then SJ did a spotlight as well several years later. But that was a really nice article. That they did a real nice article. They used to do this. I don't know what the section was. In it was either the Cumberland County Times or the Millville News. It was like an ask question, and I guess someone asked, what happened to the guy that used to do Millville and the Bridgeton games, and someone commented, "Oh, he's doing radio," and this was when I jumped to do radio in Delaware. And then they actually, believe it or not, that article was when I was with WSNJ, and then the station right across the street from Bridgeton, the police department. Oh my God, it's escaping me. 1440 WMVB. There you go, 1440. So when I was doing my show, they used to put it on High Street on the speakers. In Millville, the Glass District. A nice little area in Millville. But I appreciate you asking. Yeah, I would say. I don't typically say proud of that article, but that was a nice article way back when Q watched the Giant. Get that out of here. My beloved Super Bowl champion Eagles. Let me get to this. Hold on. My beloved championship Eagles won't be broadcasting in DMV for the next couple of weeks. Is it worth the $85 a month to month plan? No, I already told you what to use. I already gave you guys the website. Apparently, Vince was killing me to not give the website, but I gave you guys the website. You should be able. Hold on, wait for it. Stream East or Top Stream. What's the fix on that penalty call that pretty much won the game for Indy against Denver? Michael, I feel for you as a, you know, as a Broncos fan. Now, on Friday's show, I had the Colts outright on back your play, money line. Sorry, um, sorry, Michael, but that's a very rare call. Oh, by the way, 6 o'clock on the East Coast. It's a Monday edition of On Cue. That's a very rare call that you'll see the leverage call. I don't like that call, especially in that spot. Like you've got now you have a very tough kick to a makeable kick. You basically that call gave the Indianapolis Colts 15 free yards. And that's sometimes all you need because if you go back, what play did they run prior to that? Didn't they run the ball with like 6 seconds left? Right? Let me pull up the play chart. So that was, yep, here it is. You had a 4 yard run, 10 yard run, 4 yard run, 7 yard run, 2 yard run, 1 yard run, 17 seconds. Yeah, they went back. They actually, that's when Taylor went up the middle. It was negative yardage on the play, by the way. So that was from Denver 40. So now you're talking about what? What is it? 17 back, right? 57 yarder. I'm sorry, because you went back two, it turns out to be a 60 yarder. And that ball's on the Denver 42. You get the leverage. That's 15 yards. Now, forget about it being 1st and 10 because the game's not going to end on a defensive penalty, right? A flag. So now you move the ball up, and now that ball's on the 27. Now you're talking about a 44-yarder, a much more makeable kick. That is a bad, tough, brutal road loss for the Denver Broncos. Yep. You're feeling pretty good going to 2-0, knowing, and then you sit there and see, okay, Kansas City loses. Now, I will say this too. The Denver Broncos need to learn. You got to stop the run. I mean, they gave up 5.2 yesterday, over 167 yards. I think Taylor averaged 6.5. If Denver, you got to stop the run if you're Denver, right? You have to. And can you do your best Steven Seagal fight scene? And that, I don't know what was the Steven Seagal one. You mean I was railing off the names, right? Chino says, cool. That's where Trout's from. I grew up in Bridgeton. Oh, nice. Yeah, WSNJ, right across from the police station. And then I had a couple small clients off of Pearl Street. And then if you know High Street, yeah, we used to do Bridgeton Bulldogs, Cumberland Colts, Millville Thunderbolts. Funny story, as you bring it up, but I called Trout's high school games, and I'll never forget, and it was for a religious station called Lift. That was the station. And they asked me politely, because it was a religious station, when I call football or basketball games, if the player gave up the ball in basketball, it was a nice defensive play. It wasn't a quote turnover, but that's a story for another. They're good people, and I'll leave it at that. But one of the games I did, there were a bunch of scouts there. I think this was his senior year, and I knew of the name Mike Trout. Like I knew there was buzz in the area from Mike Trout, but I never saw the kid up close. There were a whole bunch of scouts in there, and I was like, "Who are you guys here?" And they kind of pointed. And I called that game on the radio. I have it on tape, and I think he went like 4 for 5. Like one ball still hasn't landed. That's hand to God. It's a true story. Vince, I'm allowed to talk about Fight Club because everyone else knows. You guys are asking me how to watch these games. Listen, the Bunker Boys, they're Eagles fans, and I don't want to be a prick about it. Like I'm trying to do the right thing right now. I'm trying to do the right thing. No one's shutting that down. They tried to shut it down. It was back up. You got to donate $5, go through the ad poppers, and it is what it is, right? Or the ad blockers. Yes, that was a bad pick. Yep. That's another concern. I'm a Bo Nix guy. You know that. I'm all Bo Nix. I'm all Bo Nix. Sometimes his decision making is a little questionable. And here's the other thing. What the hell happened to Evan Ingram? Like, why are the Denver Broncos not targeting Evan Ingram at all? All of a sudden, he's lost a step. This guy's been targeted 5 times in 2 games. You're 6'3", 6'4". That's a big target. Use him. Use him. Use him. Use him. All right, you got the double dip tonight in the NFL. Tampa, Texans. Texans laying 2.5. I am very bullish on Tampa. I think Tampa goes down, and you guys can call me out tomorrow. Manana, go ahead. I think the Buccaneers absolutely wax the Texans tonight. I think Mayfield's going to go off. There's something fundamentally broken with that Texans offense. That second game, that's a tough little nut right there with the 3.5 on the road for the Chargers. Home opener for the Raiders, Geno Smith saying, hey, this is a good spot coming off that 382-yard performance. They need to run the football a little bit. Herbert's not the best road quarterback for the Chargers, but, oh, man. They showed me something against Kansas City. They really did. I'm going to go with the Chargers. I hate laying that 0.5 point, but I like the Chargers in this game. I haven't even – tomorrow with Lloyd, we'll do a little look ahead already to week 3 because some of these lines are out already. Let me get to a couple more. Premier League Y on X chimes in. Q, off coverage, every drive in the fourth quarter, overtime, pathetic. I'm with you. The whole entire coaching staff needs to go. Referring to the Giants. Might agree with that one. D, Summers Point chiming in. Q, I know it's not sexy. Hurts in a play particularly well, but as you alluded to, got the win on the road against Kansas City. We'll take it. Yeah, it wasn't a convincing W, but again, if you're the Philadelphia Eagles, it's the NFL. A win is a win. And that's really all you're looking for. That's really all you're looking for. You're measured by wins and losses. It doesn't always have to be pretty. That's why, like, somebody asked me that, when we talk about, like, JP sent this to me earlier. He goes, think about this the last 2 weeks, Q. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, 13 receptions, 104 receiving yards, 0 touchdowns. And the Eagles are winning, which is all they probably care about. It's a Johnny on the spot, dead accurate point. If I'm watching that game yesterday in real time, the Giants game, I walk out of there feeling better if that kick hits the upright. Like the overtime rules, again, we can sit there and say, you're not going to keep playing, until somebody wins. It's just too many reps, the physicality, they're exhausted. Do I believe in getting the ball first in overtime? I do, because you get it second. If the team scores, you're down to 4 downs, and that's pretty much it. That's another rub I had that annoyed me yesterday in that game. But I would rather have that game, the Giants tie the Cowboys, obviously, than lose. And I'm not looking for moral support or moral victories here. But what I'm saying is you feel a little better, but not when you have 14 penalties and your quarterback, who's your bridge, plays an outstanding game and then has 2 just absolutely what the hell are you thinking plays, and one of them cost you the game. You don't feel good about that. If Jackson Dart's out there throwing for 400 yards, I'm feeling pretty good because Jackson Dart is the future. Russell Wilson is not the future. I don't understand why some Giant fans, they can't comprehend this. I mean, it's like the scene in White Man Can't Jump, right? When Woody Harrelson's telling him, Wesley Snipes, you'd rather look good and lose, right? I mean, Giant fans sit there and say these stats are gaudy. That's unbelievable. This is why you went and got Russell Wilson. Yeah, but he still had a horrible pick and you still lost the game. Now, 99%, defense got to make a stop. 1% on Wilson, but it was costly. It was absolutely costly. There's no moral victories in sports. None. All right, we're going to start wrapping up tomorrow. Lloyd Vance will join me on a Tuesday. We will recap Crawford and Canelo later on this week. We'll see if we can get my big guy, Brandon Jacobs, on. He's probably got it. After a while, he probably can't stand that I keep railroading on the Giants. And Brandon's my guy, and I know I'm his guy, but he's probably thinking to himself, oh my God, I can't take this anymore. I get it. I would get annoyed after a while too. So, all right, you got the Monday Night Dip. Enjoy the games as well. Good stuff on the comments. You guys can mark the tape wherever you would like on this Lunes Mentiroso Manolo Man Up edition of On Cue. Don't forget, we're powered by Get Ready with Tea, fresh roasted coffee, and Three Brooks Bourbon, and of course, Jersey Shore Breaks. Fortunately, the Giants find different ways to lose. It's killing me. Yeah, because they're a bad football team. And bad football teams find ways to lose. There is such a slim margin of, when it comes to like a margin of victory, some room for error in the NFL, Chino, when it comes to winning and losing, right? And it could be the first offensive series that sets the tone. It could be a bad call, a holding, a face mask, a bad penalty, roughing the passer, a stupid play, a drop ball, a fumble, not converting on fourth down. Like there's a handful of plays in a game, in every game, that typically decide the outcome of the game. And there were multiple plays. The Giants set the tone from a penalty standpoint, that first drive. That was inexcusable. You can't have that. As an NFL head coach, you can't allow that. That's lack of discipline. That's on the coach. That falls on the coaching staff, period. Shoddy tackling, coaching. Blown assignment, coaching. The player's not playing hard. That's coaching. But I also believe if the player's a dog, then they just don't want it bad enough. But the players still have to make plays. You still got to block. And when they benched that kid and his replacement came in, you didn't hear his name the whole game. He did a hell of a job. But you can ill afford to have a player who got penalized 4 times in an opening drive, mind you, twice. Unnecessary roughness. I pull him, he shouldn't say anything. Like if you did that with Parcells, Parcells is here, you're walking, you're not even going, you're making a beeline away from Parcells. You're going in the tunnel. The Parcellses of the world, the Buddy Ryans of the world, the Chuck Knowles of the world, Jimmy Johns, they're cutting you. They're cutting you today. They're cutting you today. That's inexcusable. So I get it. I empathize and sympathize with you, but they're just not a good team. They haven't been a good team for so many years. They have not been able to learn how to win. They haven't. There are teams in the NFL, they are coached a certain way. Everyone's talking about Indianapolis and having the owner on the sidelines. It's working. Now, would I go for that? I don't know. But they've changed the culture. And they have a quarterback that everyone in the world written off, and now he's playing with confidence. Why? Because of the coaching. You've got Chicago, same old Bears. Minnesota, same old Minnesota. Cleveland, same old Cleveland. The Jets. The Jets yesterday, they didn't even show up. Like, that's alarming. Justin Fields reverted. Everything Justin Fields did well to open up the season. I mean, now it's like, okay, low risk to reward. What happened to Justin Fields after 1 week? You can coach them up, but if they're not a good player, they're not a good player. But you also have to play hard, and they didn't give you that effort yesterday. That was embarrassing if you're a Jets fan. You brought in a first-time head coach in Aaron Glenn, change the culture. Change the culture. Ben Johnson is trying to learn that big time in Chicago. I mean, he might be one and done. Ryan Poles gets an extension and does nothing to build a competitive roster. That's the Bears. And I'll say this. Let me lastly say this. I mentioned this in the offseason. I mentioned this when we did our OTAs, the draft, the previews, and I'm standing by this. The Philadelphia Eagles broke the Kansas City Chiefs. They broke them. There's something fundamentally off. They're not the same team, and I don't know why people cannot see that. They don't have the same talent. They're older. They've got injuries. They just, again, they just, they're on the downside, man. They're on the downside. It's like last one out, close the lights, shut the lights off. That's what, it's like Mahomes is the last thing standing here. I mean, Kelsey's a clown. Kelsey's a clown. Catch the football, man. Catch the football. It was a great run. And they still might make the playoffs. They should, but they're not going back to the Super Bowl. They're not. I don't believe it. And we can revisit this in January, and you guys can crush me if I'm wrong. But I'm seeing this team, and I'm looking at the trends, and they just don't have the horses, man. How do we get there? We had different GMs, coaches, and players, but it's the same song and dance. It has to be the ownership. Listen, it's a great question. Do you want to know when the Giants stopped being the Giants? It's when they pushed Coughlin out the door. I honestly believe that. I honestly believe it. That wink, wink, I'm going to retire. They pushed that man out the door. That man revitalized the franchise. That man turned the franchise around. That man won 2 Super Bowls. They wanted to run him and Eli out of town in 2007. And they had 2 historic runs, and they beat the Pats twice. Twice. Belichick and Brady, including 2007, that undefeated team. And the send-off to Coughlin was when you had an immature Beckham. He just couldn't control these guys. He couldn't control them, and they got rid of him. They kicked him out the door. For all intents and purposes, that 2015, 16, that's when the Giants, they became the Giants of the 70s, the Giants of the mid-90s, like bad football. Bad football. So, I understand every head coach has a shelf life. I do. And I remember I was on the air down here when they had the press conference, and Coughlin basically said, Eli, it's not you, right? Talking about being held accountable. Because Tom Coughlin was a stand-up guy. He was a gentleman. And he held his players accountable. And I will never forget this. 2015, the Giants are playing Carolina. I mean, we're going back. And that's the year that Carolina, Cam Newton, what was Carolina? 15-1 that year? Cam Newton, MVP. They went to the Super Bowl. They got smoked, right? If you remember, the Giants were 6-7 at that time. They were down big to Carolina. They were down big. I mean, they were down, I think, 28 points in that game. And Beckham was just being a jerk. He was just being an immature prima donna. He really was. For as talented as a wide receiver, never really fulfilled all those expectations. And, look, he throws his quarterback under the bus after the Giants pay him, and then the Giants decide, to hell with you, we're going to jettison you out to Cleveland. Never the same wide receiver. Could have been a Hall of Fame receiver. Could have been a Hall of Fame wide receiver. Could have been an all-time great. Now, just, Beckham had his moment in the NFL. And I'm watching that game with my father, and they're down 38, maybe 35-7. They come back. And during that game, if you guys remember, Beckham was going just back and forth. Remember the Josh Norman? Hands to the face, puncher. And Coughlin never got control of Beckham in that game. Never was able to get control. My father looked at me and said, that's going to be the Tom Coughlin. Not his fault. It was not his fault. It wasn't. He just never had control of those players. He just never did. And you had a mixed bag, right? You had DeAndre Williams and the Rashard Jennings, Shane Vereen, Beckham. Remember Ruben Randall? They lost that game 38-35. That game solidified Cam Newton as MVP. He was unbelievable. He was unbelievable. He threw for almost 400 yards. I think he ran for over 100 yards. He had like 5 total touchdowns in the game. That was his game, his year, his season. But for all intents and purposes, that moment screwed the Giants. That moment cost Coughlin his job. And then, of course, it snowballed, and then they forced him out. The Giants have never been the same. McAdoo, Shermer, Judge, Dayball. When the hell, if you've been a Giant fan for 25, 30, 40 years, do you ever sit there and say 4 head coaches in a span of what? 7, 8 years? Come on. No. Come on. Never, never, never. I'm telling you, that's when the Giants became a laughingstock. Period. Period. It's when they became a laughingstock. And they haven't recovered. And the young Giant fan, they don't know what bad football is. Like, this is bad football. But the Dave Brown, the Kent Graham, Tommy Maddox. I mean, the flip-flopping late between Sims and Hosteller. It's horrible. Ray Hanley. Dan Reeves provided a little oomph, right? And then Fossil gave him some great oomph, getting to the Super Bowl, winning the NFC Championship, getting smoked. And then what cost Fossil was having the implosion eventually when the team just basically imploded in San Francisco. Like, GMs and ownerships, when you have a team that's okay. Yesterday's game, Mara is watching that game, or any GM, I should say any owner is watching a game like that and saying, my coach has zero control of this team. And it typically will cost a head coach a job. And that's the problem I have with all these Giant fans getting so excited that Russell Wilson threw for 450 yards and CR off. Let's be honest, he threw a lot of balls up for grabs. And Neighbors and Robinson made plays, and that's great. But he's not the future. He's a bridge quarterback. He is a bridge quarterback, period. So the more they're competitive, the more he plays well, the more Daboll has job security. And that's the problem. I don't want him as a head coach. I don't want him anywhere near Jackson Dart. And the one time he's in there, he puts Jackson Dart in for friggin' gimmicky plays when Russell Wilson is actually playing the best football that he's played in what? The last 5, 6, 7 years? Horrible. Ben, here's a stat for you. Ben chimes in. Q, here's a stat for you. If Joe Burrow isn't able to return by the end of the season, it's going to be his 3rd season injury, Q. He's had in 6 NFL seasons, i.e. injury prone, ? Brutal. And he's such a talented quarterback. So now you start to get in the conversation of durability concerns, right? Like, I can equate injuries to bad luck, but if you're injury prone, you're injury prone. And unfortunately, a guy like Burrow is injury prone, right? Whether it's unlucky or not, it's unfortunate. Like, if you have 3 major injuries in 6 years, to me, that's not bad luck. You got to be able to stay healthy, man. Joe Burrow is an exceptional quarterback. He's an exceptional quarterback. But if you're not out on the field, availability, accessibility, it just does nothing for me. Blue Zone chimes in. Q, absolutely loving your show, catching it for the first time. Here you go. Most 0-2 starts since 2013. Giants, Carolina, Cincinnati, Jacksonville, Indianapolis. That's a staggering stat. Since 2013, the Giants have 10 0-2 starts. You realize any team, you put yourself behind the 8 ball so fast. This is why you guys laugh at me when I sit there and say by October, by Halloween, the Giants season is over. 0-2, 0-3, 1-4, 2-5. You can't get out of your own way. You've dug yourself a hole. You've dug yourself a hole. 0-2. 10 times since 2013. Think about that. when they went down to Tennessee and they beat them on the road in Dable's rookie season, they went for 2. I can't recall the first time, the last time the Giants actually had an opening to a win to open up the season. That sets the tone. Bad football, man. Bad football. Just brutal. All right, got to start wrapping up. Back in the saddle, Mignana. Lloyd Vance is going to join us. We'll recap the Monday Night Football. We'll go through Vance's view. We'll recap everything that transpired in week 2. I will definitely give you my thoughts on the fight as well. By the way, pennant races, baseball, heating up. Steve Gardner later on in the week. Keep it locked in on a daily edition of On Cue. Special thanks to our good sponsors. Again, get ready with tea, 3 Brooks Bourbon, and fresh roasted coffee, 20% off your show notes. BYP20. Don't forget, you can get us on Apple, Spotify, and Amazon, wherever you get your podcast. Back Your Play audio is up. We're on demand. Oh, and by the way, NY48 WWON, you'll catch Back Your Play every Saturday and Sunday, 11 to 12. And we will have some show news regarding On Cue later on in the week. We also, we are working on 2 new homes for the show as well, so we'll keep you guys updated on that. Don't forget, as always, get social with us. Very easy to do on X. And, of course, IG at Rich Q&Q, TikTok Rich Q and Mike. Check out the YouTube channel at Rich Q&Q. And you can check me out Monday to Friday right here with On Q on the YouTube channel and on X, as I alluded to. All right. Good stuff on a lunes. Manolo Mendioso Man Up Monday. Yeah, I had a lot to man it up on this Monday, but appreciate you guys giving me about an hour plus to vent. Excellent job with the comments and you guys chiming in as always. Enjoy the Monday night double dip. And we'll be back in the saddle tomorrow. As always, I'm Rich Quinones. Have a wonderful Sports Monday. Enjoy the baseball. Enjoy Monday Night Football. Lloyd Vance tomorrow. Costco on a Wednesday. We'll see if we can get Brandon coming on a Thursday. We got Bueller on a Friday. Steve Garner on a Friday as well. We're going to talk a little more boxing later on this week to recap that Canelo and Crawford fight. So have a good Sports Monday. We'll talk to you mañana. As always, I'm Rich Quinones. Hasta luego, buen día.